Alright, friends, it's Timon. We're back again with a a JasonBlaha video, of course. It's kind of obvious. Yep, we're going to react to the gym lifting recruiting fitness gear slave himself today, Jason Blaha. So Blaha says functional strength means you are strong at every angle. Well, yeah, that your functional strength, it's really dependent on these sarcomeres, man. You know, in series and in parallel. They're important. They can make you dysfunctional. Just a loss of sarcomere in series. Wow, your range of motion, you'll lose your range of motion. That's why these old people are always doing stretching exercises. Think about it. Use your brain. When you see these people, think about why are they stretching all the time? Or you get people that are trying to get up off the floor. Like, if you can't get up off the floor, you know, there's a problem with you. Or when you get these people doing yoga. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. They don't really, in their mind, they're not really thinking about it because they don't know what a sarcomere is. They don't understand what sarcomeres in series and in parallel are. So to them, they think they're losing the range of motion, so they have to start stretching because they're like, well, it feels really tight, so I have to stretch it. When in fact, I mean, that's their how should I put it? Their instincts are kicking in and telling them that. But people don't even listen to their instincts anymore. But whatever, man. You get the idea.
It is important that you get strong at every angle if you want to be well-rounded. Hey, everybody, it's just...
Yeah. So how do you get strong? It's really easy. You build these sarcomeres in series and in parallel. That's how you get strong. That's how humans get physically strong. You understand me? I'm not talking about where your body kicks in a nervous system to get you to lift a heavy weight off the floor. I'm talking about you getting physically stronger so you never get injured, you don't lose your range of motion, and a bunch of things. You don't lose your speed. All these things, they're important. Especially your diet, food will interrupt that. Definitely. If you make your mitochondria dysfunctional because you want to eat garbage food, well, then that's on you, right? See what I mean? Look at Blaha. Look at him. Take a good look at this man. He's a very stubborn person. He'll never lift eccentrically. He doesn't want to eat natural food. And he wants to promote eating unnatural food. And he wants to promote just lifting a heavy weight. And then he says bodybuilding is about lifting a bunch of light weights in his garage, like throwing them up and down and getting low body fat. That's not what bodybuilding was meant for. Bodybuilding was never meant for that. Bodybuilding was meant to build your body big and strong, your ligaments, tendons, and your muscles, and building more myofibrils, building sarcomeres in series and in parallel. That's what it was meant for. That's what it is meant for. See what I mean? But powerlifting, you took that from bodybuilding. It's just one section, one faction of bodybuilding. They took it and they abused it. That's what they did.
JasonBlaha here. I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today. Again, this is pretty much largely the basis of the...
Look, I'm going to tell you the truth. I never understood powerlifting. Growing up, there wasn't really a lot this whole powerlifting thing. In bodybuilding magazines, because that's what was popular at the time. Yeah, I never really saw a powerlifting magazine per se. I only saw bodybuilding magazines. And then you would see these bodybuilders lifting astronomically heavy weights. So in your mind, you would think, okay, well, these so-called fake bodybuilders on drugs, right? So you think that, well, oh, they're strong. But in fact, I mean, they took drugs to lift heavy weights. That isn't based on the natural world. See what I mean? In the natural world. But there's a price to pay for everything if you take fake shortcuts. Remember that. That's the reason when they go off the drugs, it all goes away. The strength and the fake muscle.
Higher conjugate type training system, which I've relied on heavily over the years. I tend to come back to it.
Conjugate training system is fake. If you're asking, yeah, it's in science, but it's fake because it's man-made. You understand me? But eccentric concentric contractions are not man-made. They're natural things. You understand me? You lifting your arm from the bottom to the top to the bottom is a natural movement. That isn't based on something somebody wrote a program called conjugate. See the difference? So when you're moving your arm up, eccentrically, isometric, concentric, isometric, eccentric. You understand me? You don't need to write a program about that to understand how that works.
Come back to it, I tend to do a lot of videos on it because I've researched it with thousands of hours and then have coached it with...
I love this. I've researched it for thousands of hours. There's nothing to research. If you do a lot of eccentric exercises, your instincts kick in right away. You're going to be in pain for the next couple of days. So think about it. Why are you in pain? You must be growing then. If there's some pain, some damage, it must be growing. There must be a repair there going on. Something must be going on, a repair. Now, if you lift concentrically and you don't get any of that, right? And you just lift a lot and you go home, well, your instincts people don't listen to their instincts. Obviously, there's nothing going on there. There's no growth. I knew that eventually in the gym. I got caught up with a lot of these people lifting concentrically and adapted, coming in often to the gym. And there was no growth. There was nothing going on. If anything, you could shrink yourself and you wear out your joints and stuff, your ligaments, tendons, and you get accelerated aging doing that. You accelerate aging. Why is that? Because only eccentric is regenerative. Listen to the word regenerate. Why is that? Because it can only happen once in a while. It cannot happen often. You cannot just come in and damage your muscles every day or every other day or every third day or even every fourth day. It just doesn't work like that. See what I mean? Now, unless you're an advanced lifter, you may be able to shorten it to a point where it's 5 days. It's a possibility, but I wouldn't take the chance because ligaments and tendons take longer to repair and remodel because blood does not flow to them well. They do not have blood vessels, bro. Get it? Yeah.
Dozens and dozens of clients and have used it at different points myself. You know, clients in a wide variety of sports, obviously powerlifting, but fighting, different combat sports.
There you go. He even admits it. Sports. Powerlifting is a sport. Combat sports is a sport. But bodybuilding is not a sport, and it is not aesthetics either. I have to go and get aesthetics. Bodybuilding is not aesthetics. Bodybuilding is building your body.
All sorts of stuff. And the whole idea here is both for powerlifting and any other sport and really just function. You know, people love to throw that term functional strength.
It is not functional strength. Functional strength is the basis of bodybuilding is based on functional strength. That's what it is, okay? And physical functional strength.
And then they do silly stuff and pretend that hopping on a Bosu ball is functional. No, you know what's functional? Being strong at 7 different types of deadlifts.
Being strong at 7 types of deadlifts. Okay, what are the 7 types, Blaha? I'd love to know.
So, what's the hottest online slots casino?
7 different types of deadlifts. Okay, being strong at 5 different types of squats. That's functional strength. You know why? Because you're good at every angle, every position.
And again, you know how you get good at every angle? Build these sarcomeres in series and in parallel. Yeah.
Can you pull deficits? Can you pull off blocks? Can you pull sumo? Can you pull conventional? Can you explode against bands, change, all these things?
But I will tell you this. The sarcomere in series are much more important than the sarcomeres in parallel, but they're equally important. But the series would be much more important. Trust me, it's very important. Just believe me. And if you're a runner, you definitely, if you want to be the fastest person in the world, you definitely want to build a lot of sarcomere in series. A lot. That's why it is a valuable tool to a runner to learn how to build these sarcomere in series so you could become the fastest dude in the world.
You do these things. Can you squat wide? Can you squat with different bars? Can you squat close? Are you strong at all of them? Pressing should be the same way.
Okay, are you good at all of them? Okay, how do you get good at all of them? You do them. but you do them with the full range, or sorry, you do them with the eccentric range of motion. That's how you do them. You get really good at them. Because when people tell you about hybrid fibers, you have these hybrid fibers. You do. You do. You have all these type 2 muscle fibers, but they're hybrid. And so to build them, that's the reason why in bodybuilding we have so many different varieties, like pull-up, dips, we have barbells, dumbbells, we have cable machines, we have machines, we even add more machines. Shit, we have the bodybuilding deadlift, we have the overhead press, behind the neck press. We have every variation you can imagine. Bench pressing. See what I mean? We have every kind of variation when it comes to bodybuilding. The only problem is people don't realize that it's not based on concentric lifting. It's based on eccentric. Bodybuilding is based on eccentric. That has always been the principle, based on eccentric lifting. The moment you go out of that realm, you lift concentrically, that isn't bodybuilding, because concentric exercises will not build your body. Trust me. That's why people are in stagnation. Look around the gyms. That's why they want to take drugs, turkesterone, Greg Doucette's turkesterons, and creatines, and these powders and modulators and SARMs and all this bullshit, and I don't know what else, whatever.
Pulling the same way. Are you strong at whatever angle we throw at you?
I don't know, are you?
Okay, because to me, if someone talks about functional strength, that's what I'm thinking. To me, someone who's functionally strong, I can take you, if you're a grown man and you say, well, I'm strong, I can grab a random bar, I can grab a camber bar, I can grab a squat bar and put 400 pounds on it, and you can do a good morning with it. Right? Same thing on a squat. You tell me that you're strong, well, you could do a box squat, you could do a wide stance power squat, you could do a high bar squat, put 4 or 5 on that bar and you'll smoke it. You tell me that you're strong, you're functionally strong. Means you can hit whatever awkward angles you need to. So again, functionally strong, you're talking to be out there in a real world contact sport. All these different scenarios, they're talking about functional strength.
Look, man, I know movers, they're pretty strong, but they're not going to be that strong. But they're strong enough to move furniture every single day. They have to move people's stuff, right? Okay. But guess what? They have help. They have help to move stuff, because they couldn't move it themselves. The angle of the way a couch is made is astronomically large. They're not going to pick it up by themselves, because it's odd to pick it up. There isn't a bar there with weights on each side. It's massive, a couch. So what does functional strength have to do with lifting a sofa? If you could, I bet you, if you could deadlift whatever, a couple of 100 pounds, go and try to lift a massive sofa. It's going to be hard to get your arms around it and try to lift it up and take it up a stairwell or whatever by yourself. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. Functional strength. What's functional strength, Blaha?
Where you need to be strong and balanced. Okay? So I can throw anything at you and you'll have a pretty good number. I can do any setup against heavy bands, heavy chains. You're going to move some big weight, and you're going to be able to lock it.
Oh, yeah.
In a wide stance, a closed stance, a wide grip bench, a closed grip bench, anything. I can throw anything at you, and you're going to be able to do it. That means you're functionally strong. And you need this for a lot of stuff. This is again, you will see a lot of power lifters will go the opposite route. Specificity. No, we only need to hone and tune our specific classic lifts. And then they'll do technique work with lighter weights with them, which is a waste of time. It'll make you bigger. It's not going to give you skill transference. You get skill transference against
I don't know about it making you bigger.
Maximum weights. Right? If you want to produce maximum force, you've got to move truly heavy weight. And that has a skill transference to similar lifts that are not even the same.
Yeah, you have to truly move heavy weight eccentrically. You understand me? The opposite of concentric lifting. If you truly want to develop, you understand me? You're not going to develop lifting concentrically. Nobody ever has in the history of lifting.
Lift. So yeah, doing technique work at 75% of your max, waste of time. you're not going to get a skill transference out of it just doing normal rep work. You're not. Now, if you're lifting it ballistically, maybe. Again, we can get over to speed work and all that. That's its own dynamic. But here's the problem. They get overuse injuries.
What's the problem? Overuse injuries. Yeah, you're overusing because you're adapted lifting concentrically. You're overusing it. That's right. It's not because it's not regenerative.
With over 2 billion monthly users.
Game before 40, they're not still lifting big numbers.
Yeah, it's not regenerative.
And how many of them have you guys seen, other fitness influencers who we've all seen 10, 12 years ago, who came up with me while I was doing this same stuff? How many of those guys who were pretty good lifters pulled that nonsense? I'll just bench 4 days a week. I'll squat 4 days a week with the same movement pattern, right? How many of them are not lifting heavy anymore? How many of them are broke? Yep. Those overuse of those patterns instead of just getting strong at everything. And what happens when something goes wrong? They don't know how to handle it. Whereas if you're strong at every angle, what happens when you misgroove? You know how to grind through. You're used to things misgrooving because you're strong at different stuff. You do different stuff all the time. You're used to it. You know how to adjust. Something gets catawampus, what do? You just push through. You find your groove and you just max it. It becomes normal. It becomes easy. Okay, so that's for powerlifting, but what about for all the other stuff? We're talking about functional strength in the real world. How about grappling? How about contact sports? NFL, rugby, MMA, judo, BJJ. You're going to get hit and have contact with other people at bizarre angles. Now, what's going to be of use for you there? Hopping around on a Bosu ball?
Yeah. So what's going to make you strong at BJJ and all these sports because of these angles? Bodybuilding. That's what. Why? You're going to get fucking parallel in series. You get these sarcomeres, bro. It was made for that. It was made for that.
Well, you got a little bit of balance training. Or the guy who goes, you know what? I can squat 500 pounds with 3 different bars. I can do it on a box at different heights. I can do it closed. I can do it wide.
Squatting 300 pounds by just squatting it concentrically is not going to help you in the sport. But if you could squat 300 pounds eccentrically, well, it's going to help you because you're going to gain a lot of sarcomere in series and in parallel. See what I mean?
I believe you do it wide. Wide's going to carry over to a lot of that awkward stuff. Okay, who's better off? The guy who hopped around on the Bosu ball or did some one-legged pistol squats weighted? Or the guy who moves 500 pounds on all, they can move it at all these different angles. Oh, and they can good morning it too. Okay? Same thing, you get into these angles grappling. Really, what's going to matter? The guy who can pull at different angles, guy who can deadlift over 500 with any stance, sumo conventional, off blocks, off deficits. Right?
Okay.
Who's going to handle that better? You see where we're going with this?
Yeah.
Being strong at every position, at every angle, is going to give you real world strength. The only argument you have with the other, getting that one exercise is a real world strength because you just honing that one movement. That's the argument people make. Now, granted, you squat 500 pounds, you're going to be functionally strong in the real world. I don't care what stance it is. That argument goes out the window. But it also goes out the window when you get strong at all these angles.
Yeah, and how do you get strong at all these angles? Again, you get these fucking sarcomeres in series and in parallel. That's how you get strong at all these angles. Yes, dude. Yes, Blaha. In the physical world, not the imaginary world where you can't see or feel anything. Okay. Christ.
Because when someone can squat and deadlift 500 plus pounds.
Yeah, but they can't. They can't squat or deadlift. Well, the deadlifting, they cheat too in the deadlifting. They do, what is it? Sumo deadlifts and stuff like that. They cheat at it. See what I mean? It's a shorter range of motion. But the hardest deadlift is the bodybuilding deadlift. That would be the hardest deadlift. They don't do them because it's based on eccentric. That's why. And anyways, what else? The squat, they failed. It's concentric. Bodybuilding squats are much more superior because they're eccentric.
And do good mornings and stuff in 12 or 13 different positions.
I mean, look at this guy.
Okay.
Look at this guy. What is this row? He's invented using his arms. And like I said, 99% of people in the gym use their arms. You understand me? If you started using your back, allow your back to pull backward and forward, let the weight pull it forward, and then you just pull backward, you're gonna notice a massive difference in your back, your muscles. See what I mean? You're actually gonna build sarcomeres in series and in parallel. You're not just gonna keep pumping your back by squeezing it, pumping it up with glycogen, coming in every day to the gym, endurance athlete, performing slave.
Different stances, different bars, different
this
start
guy.
positions.
I mean, come on, look at this guy, man. Christ. You know, when I look around gym, it's funny. I talked to some girl yesterday at the gym. I'm going to do my legs today. So it was funny. She understood me, but the guy was stubborn. He didn't want any of that. This guy came around, you know. It's weird. It's really weird. Anyway, so yeah, maybe he saw me talking to her, so then he wanted to come in and cut in or something. Thought I was going to steal this woman or something from him. He's going to get game there. But whatever. We were talking about the squeezing. We were talking about eccentric, concentric. There's no growth, nothing going on. I go, what do you get when you squeeze your muscles? And then she goes, yeah, it makes sense. Squeezing it, there's not going on. I go, exactly. All the growth happens in the bottom, not the top, where you're squeezing. Huh.
With bands, with chains,
Look at this guy using his
with
arms.
different ranges of motion. Okay?
Yes.
Are they functionally strong? So they can do these things at whatever you throw at any angle you throw at them, they can just grind through it.
No, they're not functionally strong. They're not functionally strong because they didn't grow any sarcomeres in series or parallel, especially series.
Yeah, that person is functionally strong.
No, they're not.
And you don't
You have better range of motion if you build more sarcomere in series. You have much better ranges of motion. See what I mean? And avoiding injury.
get there by hopping around on one leg. You don't get there by squatting on a Bosu ball.
Again, why do you think they have old people stretching? Why do they have old people stretching, doing stretches? You understand me? Because you lose power, range of motion. The more important sarcomere is the one in series. Now, you definitely need parallel, okay? You need parallel for a force production. But the series is the most important. That's why they have old people doing stretches when they get older. You understand me? Because they live a sedentary lifestyle. So it starts regressing. And then they lose their range of motion. Get it, man? And it happens in young people too. If you're too sedentary, you will lose these sarcomere in series.
You get there by lifting heavy weight in these different positions.
Yes, you get there by lifting eccentric overload exercises in the eccentric. That's how you get there. You build these sarcomeres in series through eccentric exercise, overload exercise. Has nothing to do with concentric powerlifting or any of these things.
You get there by building muscle mass, by getting thick, by doing hypertrophy.
Yes, how do you build muscle mass? Eccentrically, that's where it all builds.
If you work for all the muscles in your body, different angles.
Yeah, different angles. Look,
Okay.
let's see what angle he lifts at. He didn't even go down. He didn't go down. Is this a full range of motion? Oh, full range of motion. Oh, guys, you know what I mean? Remember, everybody, hey, full range of motion. Well, look at Blaha. He's not full range of motion. What is he doing? A partial rep. Partial concentric reps like everybody else in the gym. Now, people are going to complain. They're going to say, oh, you're doing partials. No, all of you are doing partials. Partial concentric reps, like your squats, like your dips, everything. Look at this guy.
Get there by doing that and
Look at that.
practicing moving really big weights, maximum.
That's a partial concentric rep. There you go. See?
weights in different positions. And they figured this out at Westside, and it was great for powerlifting. Yeah, the gym broke over 100 world records.
Westside is a failure. That's why they had to take drugs, because they failed.
But then they figured out it worked for all these other sports. It was even better for NFL players and MMA fighters.
No, it's
That's what they figured out.
No, all people take up bodybuilding, but they don't know how to use it. They take up bodybuilding for sports. Go look, they always have a gym, right? They always have a gym, weights in a gym there. It's always there for soccer players, this, that, for everybody. They use gyms, they lift weights. Why? Why do they do that? Because superior. You understand me? It's made to be good at doing sports. That's the point.
Because that's functional.
They don't lift because they want to be pretty on drugs. They lift in a gym because they know it's based on what? Building muscle. Now, how do they don't understand the concept of it, how they build these muscles, what these sarcomeres do. They just know that they lift, and then they're better at doing these sports. That's why they lift. That's what bodybuilding is for.
It is functional strength. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say.
Bodybuilding was developed for functional strength. That's the whole idea. Yes.
Not today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you.
Not some guy injecting drugs in his butt, going and lifting and looking pretty on stage. It's not made for that.
Guys and gals, next time.
See you in the next one. Touch, think about that, like, subscribe, support the channel. See you next video, Borowski. Same bad time, same bad channel.